Well, that was something. I didn't even realize I wasn't actually streaming. Holy cow. Thanks, Ubi. Okay, well, I'll go back through the exercise. You guys said you would feel like you needed to get caught up, so here it is. I'm going to walk you through the journey from beginning by turning off the layers. Then I'll turn them back on. I'll let you see what you've got. Just wondering why nobody was voting. Ha ha ha, now I know. So it starts with a black canvas. Here we go. We have a moon. There we go. We have a dragon. There we go. We have another dragon. Dragon with some lightning. There's a background. There's the tops of the eggs, although you haven't met the eggs yet, so it doesn't mean a lot to you. Yep, there we go. Boom. Up that. Up that. Now we're going to leave that turned off because we don't actually need that. I don't even know why I have that in there. Yeah, have you ever watched what is it? The movie with the... But this is what the detail work does. Okay, see how it's starting to come to life, really? And there we are where we left off. Hard to... Mm-hmm. So as I said, we can continue working on the dragon, or we can put it aside, come back to it later, and start something new. I don't want to bore you, because a lot of this is really tedious detail work. So just pop it in the chat if you want to go ahead and work on this, or if you'd prefer to start something new. While I finish eating my pizza. Drag on, drag on. And hey, Boomer, good to see you too. All right, we'll keep going then. If you guys want to, if you guys have the stomach for the TDM, I will deliver. Two votes. Well, Ubi did the pizza delivery service for me, which was very sweet. Now I'm thinking I need something to drink. You give a woman a pizza, and next thing you know... next thing you know, she's demanding drinks of you. Alright. I will be back in about 2-3 minutes. I'm gonna get myself an actual drink, and then I'll come back. Alright, so we do the dragon. Very nice. Hey, Linda! Indeed, pizza delivery does have a nice ring to it. Mm. Okay, that drink is good. It's cantaloupe flavor with some apple added to it. Wow. I didn't know you guys aren't bored with watching me work on these dragons, but I do like to check in and make sure. Ooh. Hmm. Well, I'm glad you're easily amused because that's definitely a qualification for being my fan. There's nothing, no great entertainment value here. Mm. I often envy my husband's ability to put on a show. He does such a good job of it that sometimes I get a little production in the production envy. But it is what it is. He has spent years perfecting his art. I have spent years perfecting my variety of art. Mm. Well, thank you for that consideration, Pookie. It isn't right to leave me alone with it all. It would be terrible, right? No. It can be kind of relaxing to do it. I mean, there's no stress about it. You're not really having to figure out placement and everything. It's more about figuring out what needs to be done and where the shadows need to be added and how much shadowing to put in there to create the kind of effect you want. I mean, there's decisions to be made, but it's not like difficult work to do. It's just tedious because you really do need to block out the individual things so that the eye knows where to find it all. And then there's a lot of smudging that goes on because, that's how you get the blending going. So, like I said, a lot of tedious little things. But I agree. Hanging out with you guys, talking with you guys. Hey, it's Tom. Good to see you. I always enjoy having your companionship and company on my journey. And I hope that you find some value in watching it and hanging out. Well, obviously you find some value in it or you wouldn't be here, but these are just sloppy right now, but we'll make them more distinct when I use the smudge tool. Don't worry, they shan't be sloppy forever. Now we get to the smudging. This is where things blend in and start to look like they actually belong there instead of are just slapped over the surface. They might be just slapped over the surface, but we don't want them to look that way. We don't want them to feel that way. We want them to feel like they belong where they're at. I always like to make things feel like they belong. People too. That's because I didn't always feel like I belonged when I was growing up. In fact, most of the time I didn't feel like I belonged to anyone or anything. I think that's one of the reasons I fell in love with Ubi. He always made me feel like I belonged, like I had a place where he was at. Very endearing quality. Yes, it does make it look more 3D, and that is the exact purpose of it, is to give it more depth. Make it look like it actually has weight and depth and is casting shadows and things. That's what you want. One of the things you learn when you're going through art school is something that your eye notices, but as a person, your brain may not pick up on. In nature, there are no straight lines and there are no hard lines. There are deep darks, light lights, and everything in between, but there's no hard lines. And so when you have hard lines in your art, it looks very flat and cartoony. So if you want that realism feel to it, you have to add the shadows, and you've got to give dark enough darks that you can distinguish between areas of shadow and light, but blur it enough that it looks like it blends in with the scene, not that it's that it doesn't stand out. It helps define the area without really you noticing it so much. I don't know if I explained that as well as I wanted to, but hopefully that made sense. And the darker the shadows are, the more it makes the light pop. So that's something else to keep in mind. Well, yeah, paleness will shine if you're in the dark. You know, when you're up against something darker, your paleness will definitely stand out. It's kind of like if you want to blend in, you got to fit closer with what the environmental background is. Yeah, a lot of us are happier blending into the background and not being noticed. That's actually one of those things I call a visibility challenge. It's something that I'm having to get over because if I want to grow as an artist and an author, then and I want to grow the amount of work that comes my way, or the willingness of a publisher to pick up my work, then I have to prove to them that I'm out there working on building an audience and that I'm willing to do that kind of work that it takes. And it means I have to get over myself, get over all those visibility challenges. I will admit, when I was growing up, it was a lot safer not to be noticed than it was to be noticed. So I learned to hide myself really, really well. And I've had to work on overcoming that. I'm really getting myself out there and allowing people to know me and see me and to just be comfortable with that. So those visibility challenges are not easy to overcome. You've got a lifetime habit of making sure that you blend in. It's so funny when I was years ago when Randy and I were playing a massive multiplayer online game together, Dark Age of Camelot specifically. I played an infiltrator, and the whole goal of that character was to stay to the shadows, which was very true to my nature. And Randy and I developed an entire fighting technique around that. Which, of course, got nerfed later by developers, which was kind of sad, but whatever. They were envious of our capabilities. I think we kicked their butts on the battlefield too many times. And they didn't like it. Next thing we know, the abilities are nerfed. Our technique wouldn't work anymore. Sad. When your natural skin makes goths jealous, you know you're an indoor person. Hey, look, I'm not just white, I'm neon white, okay? I make paper jealous. And I don't ever tan. But this is the sad but true fact. I do not tan, I burn. I go from either being paper white to being lobster. No. Lobster red. That's the only other color I ever go to. Other people, Randy, Booby rather, they get that nice tan stage. You know, sure, they may get a little bit of sun exposure at first, but then it turns into a crispy golden, beautiful color on them, and you know, the rest of the summer they stay that golden brown. Not me. Nope. 2 stages. White and boiled lobster color. That's me. It's not very attractive. But, you know, you deal with what you gotta deal with. It's all that Irish, Scottish heritage in me. My mother, she's got the French in her, so that's really strong. So she does. She turns a beautiful tan. It's great. Never happens to me. Yep. That's why you won't ever catch me going to a tanning booth. It wouldn't be tan. It would just be me turning red and living with the consequences. You were white, blonde with freckles as kid. You burnt if you saw a sunny forecast. Yes, yes, me too, Chris. Me too. I was platinum blonde as a baby. My hair darkened as I got older, but I was platinum blonde as a baby. And yeah, getting me anywhere near sun. You know, they talk about how vampires just, sort of in the sun. That's pretty much me. Get me near sun and I'm cooked. I'll be the first one to get radiation poisoning or something. It's great. It's fantastic. You had tons of freckles as a kid and hated them. The freckles faded as you got older. Yeah, it does that sometimes. It's that the kid was told that freckles were angel kisses and says to his mom, well, then I wish the angels would stop kissing me so much. Except for my arms. Had a kid that thought it was funny to make fun of my freckles. Till he broke his nose. Yeah. There are certain ways to put an agreement down. And when I was working, I for a brief time, while I was in working on my associates in elementary education, I worked as a behavior disorder teacher assistant. Now I joked that what this meant was that it was my job to teach kids bigger and better behavior disorders, and who more qualified than me to do that job? But at any rate, so at one point in time, this teacher, who was not my favorite teacher in the world, she never stopped to ask questions. She was not really invested in doing her job. But at any rate, she brings this kid to my door and instructs me to deal with him. Now, she doesn't tell me what he's done. She doesn't give me any information about what happened or what she thinks has happened. Nope, she just drops him on my doorstep and tells me to deal with him. So, I decided to find out what exactly happened. I asked him. He admits he hauled off and hit another kid. But that was after persistently begging the other kid to leave him alone. And the other kid would not. So I decided, okay, well, let me pull in the guy that got hit and find out what his side of the story is. The other guy flat admits to having harassed this kid and is completely puzzled as to why that resulted in violence. And I told him, I said, if you hit people with your words and hit people with your words and hit people with your words, eventually they're going to end up hitting you with their fists to make you stop. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's what's going to happen. You're lucky it happened at your age. One of these days, when you get to be an older dude and you do this, it might not just be fists they use. So we had the boys work it out between them, and they were fine after that. But I I made him come in every day for detention for as long as the other kid had to spend in detention. I said, you know, he's in here because he hit you. You're in here because you provoked him. Neither one is right. You guys are going to learn to get along before I send you back to your class. Because, yes, he kept hitting you in the hand with his face. I agree, Chris. He should have kept his face to himself. I mean, good grief. If he didn't want to be smacked, he shouldn't have offered his face up like that. He was very, you know, it was very unwise of him. I'm sure your mom didn't approve. But I do understand why kids do that kind of stuff. There is a point at which you've had all you can take and you can't take no more. And there's also a point where a message does need to be sent. When somebody is being a tremendous arsehole, they do need to be put in their place before somebody does something more serious to put them in that place. One of the fascinating things I discovered was that if you had a kid in your class as a behavior disorder teacher aide, if you had received a kid in your class for doing something that was awful, right? Totally awful, and you called the parents to tell them their child had done something totally awful, we needed to correct their kid, 9 times out of 10 you would get off the phone understanding exactly why that kid was the way they were, and you would pity them for the parents they had. Not that you excuse the behavior, but that you understand completely where it's coming from. You're like, oh, that's why you're a little snot. Gotcha. I feel bad for you, little dude. I feel bad for you. Kinda didn't stand a chance. With parents like that, who needs any other help? Oh, I definitely had a temper problem. I had a you were not going to talk to me like that problem. I wounded several guys in 7th grade with my little temper problem. I'll tell you this. Once I got through with a guy, he didn't get the message the first time. He certainly got it by the time I was done. Now, I wasn't trying to hurt anybody, and I definitely didn't want to hurt anybody, but I wasn't afraid of putting them in their place. And if violence was required, I wasn't afraid of dishing that out either. Heck, my family, our way of saying I love you was hitting each other. People should have understood that about me. Welcome to the Artful audience, friends. This is where imagination begins. Digital canvas is where creation begins. Yeah. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Well, I did have a serious temper issue when I was growing up. Actually nearly choked my brother to death one day. I he had said something that really upset me. And it wasn't the kid's fault. I mean, to be fair to my brother, he was he was living the Christian ethos, and I was mad at him for it. Just shocking when I look back on it, but I was furious with him because he directed it towards somebody I felt we should be entitled to hate. But he wasn't like that. And so I lost my temper. I was on top of the kid, pounding him into the ground, choking him. And I weighed probably a good 15 pounds more than he did at the time. I could easily have choked him to death, and probably would have. But I'm grateful that there was this still quiet, small voice in me that said, "You do realize if you kill him, you're going to prison, right?" That was what stopped me. I wish I could say it was because I was a really good person, but I wasn't at the time. I was a lousy person. It was only the threat of prison that kept me from killing that kid. I'm glad I didn't watch the movie Chicago at that age, because, you know, it would have been a he had it coming moment. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie. He had it coming. He had it coming. He had it coming. If you'd have been, if you'd have seen it, I bet you would have done the same. Yeah. Like I said, I had a really bad temper. And I'm really grateful that I read Little Women because it sort of helped me. Because Joe also had a really bad temper, and you know, her mommy taught her how to put it in its proper place and deal with it in an appropriate manner, so she didn't lash out and destroy people with it. And I learned that's where I got the habit of having cleaning my house was my go-to for venting anger back in the day. In fact, it used to be, it's not the same anymore, but it used to be that if Ubi got off work and came home and found the house was clean, he wanted to turn right back around and go out because he knew he was in trouble, most likely. I was not a happy girl. And things were not going to bode well for him. So, it used to be that a clean house in my house was a sign of a very unhappy woman. And whoever got in my way was likely to get in trouble. I'm glad that's not the case anymore, but it definitely used to be. Nice! Well, I'm glad you guys find it relaxing, because I don't want you to find it boring. But if relaxing is a different thing. And there's not much demands on you guys, so that is nice too. I'm not really expecting much. Just a little feedback now and then and things that you guys think, but even that is kind of optional. Yeah, we can talk about any topic you like on this show. And you can talk about anything you like. You know, seeing you, Pookie, I think I need to get myself some Little Debbie's. Gotta get myself some of those zebra cakes. Haven't had those in a good while. But it's summertime. It's time to let loose. Have some fun. Live a little. Although we're going to be going on a road trip soon, so I may save my Little Debbie snack attacks
for the road trip. I don't know. I'll talk to him and see what he thinks. We're going to Ubi's family reunion. And then I'm going to take a detour and go see my mom. And maybe visit a friend of mine who seems to be in the dumps. In the deep, deep doldrums. Which I find sad. Because we just got him teed up for something he's wanted for 9 years. And now he's in the dumps. See, mostly because he's worried it's not going to actually happen. But if I weren't reasonably confident we could get this done, I would never have told him so. But he didn't know me like that. If Bob Ross had live streams, that would have been cool. Yeah, Bob Ross live streams would have been awesome. Happy little trees everywhere. Happy little mountains. Happy little forests. Happy little houses. Everything was happy little something. But I don't mind that, you know, I think I kind of miss that. Like, the fact that you don't really have to worry about making a wrong move in art. There's always something you can do with it. It's one of the things I like about art. Yeah, it may not be working the way you want it to right now, but you can always go back and fix it. And always get it in a different shape or turn it into something new. It's really only limited by your imagination. And that's the good thing. Going back over these teeth and giving them more shadows. Now, I gotta say, on a scale of 1 to 10, this June has been largely phenomenal. It's probably about a 9 in my rank. And that's mostly because it's been full of really cool things that have happened. I mean, I've been able to get some projects off my plate that have been on there for years. I've been able to step in and really do some good creative work. Been able to almost complete an entire manuscript for a book that I'm working on, and that makes me happy and feel productive. All those things, you know. So it's been a good month for me. And it's setting July up to be a good month too. Of course, July is one of the better months because not only do we start off with a bang with Independence Day, but yeah, Ubi's birthday, hello, on July 7th is coming around the corner. And while it's tragic that he'll be old starting July 7th, you know, because he's a year older than I am, so that he's 5 months older than I am. So the joke in our house is I never get old. So the minute that he's older than I am, he's an old man. But then on December 13th, when my birthday rolls around, he flips back to being young again. Yes, the zebra cakes are good road snacks. And yes, poor Ubi is trapped in the cycle between old man and young man. And ne'er shall he escape for as long as my life exists. Do, 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 do. Poor guy. He did not know what he was getting into when he agreed to marry me. I feel bad for him. I doubt he'd have said yes if he knew. Boy, did God have surprises in store for him. He didn't believe in God at the time. That was his fault. God might have warned him, but he didn't believe in God, so he couldn't have asked for God's advice. That's what you get, my brother. That's what you get. Now he's been living with those poor choices for over 30 years. We are still together, which is nothing short of amazing. I mean, I tell people all the time the fact that we are still together is nothing short of a divine miracle. We have personally done everything humanly possible to destroy a marriage in a relationship. And God has done everything in his power to keep it together, and you see who won. We we are proof positive there is a God. There's no way we should have lasted. But we did. Journey's been a little rough around the edges sometimes, but we have lasted. And I have no complaints. To be perfectly honest, I have no complaints. Just wish I'd have known some of the things that I learned along the way sooner, so we didn't have to go through all of that. But because we did go through all of that, I can now tell other people what to watch for, what not to do, and why, which I could not have offered them otherwise. Yes, you'll always be older. Well, you know, that's probably how most people are, but I am unusual in many, many ways. Such an interesting turn of phrase, isn't it? Because it technically could be applied to a lot of things. Are they significant? Yes. Are they other than you? Yes. Therefore, significant other. Very creative application of word. Some more shadows and some more intensity and shaping. Just really pulling it out there. Making the shapes of things make sense for the story that's being told. That's something I always try to keep in mind is what is the story on the canvas, and is everything that's on the canvas acting in a way that is consistent with that story. That is what makes for good art. And the story makes sense. Otherwise, you spend a lot of time going, huh? What is this? What, how, no. Which is not the effect that I want to have on people who are viewing my artwork. I don't want them going, what? This makes no sense. Why is this over here? Why? Why? Good question, Buff. Don't know. But I should. Is there any more drink? No. Yeah. Good, I poured myself enough. Yay! Yay for plenty of drink. Last myself through the whole stream. Well, I would stay past the 7:45 mark since Ubi isn't going to stream tonight, but I have some much neglected accounting to do, sadly. So I shall not be doing so. I shall be getting off at precisely 7:45. Cooking the baby. Well, you know, warming the baby. Warming the baby boomer. We're not cooking her. We're warming her. Now, dragons are, they need plenty of warmth to get their engines going, so to speak. Yeah, speaking of which, we need to define the baby better. She's getting lost in those bones. Here we go. I'm almost looking better and better with every pass. And yes, now I need to tend baby. Baby! Why is the baby looking like she is? She is looking a lot better than where she started, for sure. She's far more distinct. We've got definite improvement to her shapes and her shadows, and she is really looking good. I'm glad we took more time with her. It's been worth the time. There we go. Now, although the wings still need work, she's still lacking definition there. We'll have to come in here and bring some to that area of her anatomy. It's high time we took care of her wings. And as always, what we don't finish here tonight, we'll carry through to the next session. Work on that together with you. You guys are so awesome and amazing. I definitely appreciate every time you show up. It's not that I wouldn't create art without you. It's just that it's nice to have company while you're busy creating. Kind of started this stream because I needed an excuse to force myself to work more on my art, and there was not a good way. I was so busy that I wasn't making any time for it, which is not an excuse, but it works differently when you've committed to other people that you're going to be there. You tend to actually, you know, I don't know, show up and do the thing you know you need to do. And so by committing to this, showing up every week, I've grown my skills and talents in my art. I'm getting better every week. I'm learning new techniques, I'm trying new things, and that's producing a better product overall. And it's also making me happy that I'm able to grow in my art skills. So definitely worth it. It's kind of one of those sneaky techniques you can use to force yourself to practice something you know you won't make time for otherwise. So make a commitment to it. Either on social media of some sort, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or whatever it is you use, and tell people I'm going to be doing this every week, and then make sure you do show up. And make sure that you, like, if you want to practice growing your music skills and you just can't seem to force yourself to practice daily, at least scheduling a stream will make sure you practice at least once a week. And of course, having company makes the journey that much easier to stick to, because you're getting encouragement and feedback as you go. It's what helped push Randy to becoming better. Yeah, was that commitment to, he was going to be practicing anyway. He said, I might as well stream and practice. And now he's gotten remarkably better over the last year and a half. He's slipping a little because he doesn't have as much time to practice as he used to. But he's still putting in the practice because he's committed to showing up and mostly does. Tonight's an exception, but usually. So I say all this. I want to get better at something. Commit to it. Stream to it. You'll find that you force yourself to get better. And, by the way, I didn't ask, but I should. If you guys have anything that's going on your channels, be sure to pop them in the chat and let me know. Yay for chat. Okay, we'll work more on Mama's Wings next week. But that's already giving it a little more definition. It's nice. Yeah. Alright, ladies and jelly beans. It has been a really good stream. I am happy to see you all here. Happy to have you all with me. Thank you, Tom. It has turned out quite a bit better than it would have ever turned out without you guys here. You have made some incredible suggestions that have just cranked this up quite a bit in quality, and then of course I made some tweaks that learned some techniques that have helped too, but a lot of this is your suggestions. You guys deciding what should go in here, what was needed and what wasn't.
And it's the better for having you having been here, as it always is. Yep, have a great night, y'all. Try to stay out of the heat too much. And we'll see you next week. Next, same time, should be the same time. Talk to y'all then. Bye.